Ted DeGrazia, of course, is a well-known artist, and he got in a tiff over taxes. I don't know that he owed them or just what, but he was just dead set against all the taxes the federal government was trying to levy, and so in protest, he went up to Angel Springs, which is up at the end of Hewlett Canyon. And this is where the cliff dwellings are that we've mentioned. And he burned a bunch of his paintings. Now, I've seen pictures of this. I've been there after the fact and found pieces of the burning stuff and what have you. A few years later, he went in, he was being packed in by Crater. Donnelly and Crater were well-known packers into the Superstitions. And my friend and Crater took them in, but they didn't stay. They were going to come back and take them out. And there were about 5 people involved in this party that stayed in there. And one of them was a well-known packer that worked for several different people who had permits to go into Superstitions. Bud Lane, he's passed away. And when I heard about the burying of the paintings, I knew that Bud was there. So we were on a trip one time where we were in the mountains for 6 days. And we had a bunch of Eastern foot people, and my friend wanted me to go along with him, and we went horseback. They gave me a free horse. And our job was to keep them on the right path from place to place where the camps were already set up and food would be. And if anybody got hurt, get them out. That was our job. And the next to the last day, we were at Angel Springs, and Bud was there, and everybody was gone out of the camp, and I went over to talk to Bud. And I asked him about what happened with what went on that day that the paintings were supposedly buried. Now, I believe what Bud tells me because Bud could tell a story like anybody else. I mean, he could have you eating out of the palm of his hand and it'd be a complete lie. But if you ask him straight up, he gave you a straight answer. And the reason I know that is when I started my Civil War thing, I wanted to start by building a 3-inch ordnance rifle, full-size gun, a cannon. And I was looking for wheels off of wagons. And he says there's all kinds of wagons up at Tahachi Indian Post north of Gallup. And I went up there and bought 20 wagons for $200 a piece on his word. And they were there and I made the deal, you know. And I built cannon, I built chuck wagons and stuff like that. And then I went to sell the wagons. And somebody heard that I had them, and he come out and he had 20 McClellan saddles. And I traded him wagons for saddles, and the cavalry come into existence overnight. And that was all based upon this man's word. You ask him a straight up question, you got the truth. You ask him BS, and he'll give you that. So anyway, he told me that he was in the camp alone with DeGrazia, that everybody else was up at the ruins, and he took the 6 plastic carts that had the cylinders that were capped, that were on the horses when they come in, stuck them under his arms, walked off down towards the springs and turned south. He didn't have a shovel, he didn't have a pick, he had nothing but the map cases. And he was gone about 15 minutes and he was back. And this told me he didn't dig and bury anything. He knew exactly where he was going to put them. He'd been there before and all that sort of stuff. So based upon that information, I organized a group to go out. A couple of my cavalry guys and some Boy Scouts were going out there that had done some work with us at the museum building maps of the Superstitions. The kids were totally uncooperative. They were everywhere. And they were in the ruins mostly. They didn't care about anything because I was there to use them to hunt for these things. But so I took off by myself I went down towards the springs and turned south, and there was a well-driven path down there because they were still grazing cattle in there at the time, and these cattle were going to where the water was. And I don't know how far it was, not very far. Football field length, maybe 2. There was a rock corral about 3.5 feet high, and there was water troughs built there and all this sort of stuff. I had already been around the edges of the perimeter and looking at the hills and stuff. There was absolutely nothing where you could just hide something without digging. But in this corral were a number of places that you could possibly just hide those map cases. I didn't do anything about it at the time. And I came back, and the next time we went in was several years later, and it was so overgrown because there was no cattle out there grazing. The forester put a stop to that. And the cat claw was so thick you couldn't even crawl on your hands and knees and go down where that path was. So I never really got back to see if I could find them. And the time just didn't allow me to look thoroughly enough the day I was there. But I'm firmly convinced. I know that the maps were taken in there. What they were in plastic cases, they were sealed, and they were hidden, not buried. Unfortunately, I've learned that the corral has been torn down to make a small dam to retain water. But the troughs are still there. You can still tell when you're there. Everybody thinks they're buried. I think they're hidden. How can you do that without a shovel or a pick? He knew what he was doing and what he was going to do it. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
Thank you for watching this episode of Mysteries of the Superstition Mountains.